you for joining the League of Women Voters of Montgomery County for this collaborative service project, writing Get Out the Vote postcards for the upcoming election. My name is Jenny Hess, and I am a League member. Here's the agenda for this webinar. I'll provide a brief history of the League of Women Voters, give an overview of the focus of the Montgomery County League, provide an explanation of the role of the Montgomery County Board of Elections, talk about voter registration eligibility criteria, as well as how to register to vote, and when, where, and how to cast a ballot. We will briefly review data on voter engagement in the past elections and explain how we identified low voter turnout precincts for this project. We will also identify ways to improve voter turnout and then discuss this Get Out the Vote postcard writing project. The League of Women Voters was founded by leaders of the women's suffrage movement in 1920. We are a nonpartisan, activist, grassroots organization that believes voters should play a critical role in democracy. When I say we are nonpartisan, this means that the League does not support any political party, but it does take public policy positions on issues after a process of research, analysis, and membership discussion to reach consensus. Here is a brief history of League activities. In the 1940s, at President Roosevelt's request, the League carried out a public support campaign to establish the United Nations and ensure the US supported it. The League became one of the first non-governmental organization observers at the UN. In the 1950s, the League became more involved in issue advocacy and created the Education Fund to support informed participation of citizens in government and increase understanding of major public policy issues. In the 1960s, the League sponsored the first televised presidential debates, for which it won an Emmy in the 1970s for outstanding broadcast journalism. In the 1970s, the League undertook a major campaign for ratification of the Equal Rights Amendment. In the 1990s, the League focused on making voter registration easier through the National Voter Registration Act, also known as Motor Voter, which allows citizens to register to vote at motor vehicle agencies. You can register when you get your driver's license. In the 2000s, the League helped draft and pass the Help America Vote Act, which focused on election reform, including the use of provisional ballots and updating voting systems. The next 4 slides provide examples of the types of work the League does. First, the League of Women Voters of Montgomery County staffs events throughout the county to register voters, including at high schools, colleges, and other community venues. The Montgomery County League prepares a voter guide for the primary and general elections. The guide includes information on how and when to register, how to cast a ballot, and information on candidates in the candidate's own words, unedited. The guide is now available in Spanish and online at vote411.org. I will discuss the vote411.org website more later in this presentation. We also hold candidate forums for local elections. The League of Women Voters of Montgomery County has an observer corps of volunteers that monitors what's happening in local government, such as at the Montgomery County Board of Education, County Council, and the Planning Board. Volunteers observe meetings and then report back to the League. The League also has a volunteer lobby corps that lobbies Congress on the League's legislative priorities. Before taking a position on an issue, the League does a lengthy study of the issue, reaches a consensus among members, prepares a fact sheet, and then takes a position that serves as the basis for testimony at the local, state, and national levels. In the photo, League members are advocating for fair maps rather than gerrymandered districts. The Montgomery County Board of Elections collects data on registered voters, such as name, gender, birth date, Maryland driver's license or MVA ID number, social security number, address, phone number, and political affiliation. The Board of Elections also develops the processes for voting in local, state, and federal elections and monitors elections. We will be using data from the Board of Elections for this project. Here are the criteria for registering to vote. You must be a county resident and a U.S. citizen. You can register to vote when you are 16 years old, but you must be 18 by the next general or special election in order to actually vote. You are not under guardianship for a mental disability, or if you are, you have not been found by a court to be unable to communicate a desire to vote. You have not been convicted of a felony, or if you have completed serving a court-ordered sentence. To register to vote, you must first complete a voter registration application. You may request one from the Montgomery County Board of Elections by visiting their homepage and requesting one be mailed or faxed to you, or you can complete the application online. Forms can be downloaded from www.777vote.org, or you can text the word vote to 77788, and the link to download the form will be texted to you. You must print off the form, complete it, and sign it, and then return it by mail or in person to the Montgomery County Board of Elections office. You cannot email it, as an original signature is required on the form. To register, you will need to provide a Maryland driver's license number or an MVA ID card number, or you will need to provide the last 4 digits of your social security number. Voting registration closes 21 days before the general election. So if you have not yet registered to vote, do it as soon as possible. The last day to register is Tuesday, October 13th for the November 3rd general election. Do not wait till the last minute. Register today. There are 3 ways to vote. You can vote by mail using an absentee ballot, also known as a mail-in ballot. You can vote early. Early voting is done in person at a voting center, or you can vote in person on the day of the general election. To vote by mail, you must request an absentee ballot from the Maryland State Board of Elections. An absentee ballot will not automatically be mailed to you. You can request a ballot by visiting the Montgomery County Board of Elections homepage and clicking on the Vote by Mail tab at the bottom of the homepage. You can also visit the Maryland State Board of Election and click on the Mail-in Voting link. Or you can text VBM to 77788, and the link to request an absentee or mail-in ballot will be texted to you. If you plan to vote by mail, request your absentee or mail-in ballot now. Once your ballot arrives, complete your ballot as soon as possible and return it. There are 2 ways to return it. You can deliver it in person to several drop-off locations around the county. These locations will have a clearly marked drop box for you to securely drop off your ballot. A list of these drop-off locations will come with the directions for completing your ballot. You can also mail it back in the prepaid envelope that will be provided to you. The second way to vote is early voting in person. Early voting runs from October 26th through November 2nd from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. There are many early voting sites throughout the county, including at county recreation centers, the Silver Spring Civic Center, and the Wheaton Library. For a complete list, visit the Montgomery County Board of Elections homepage. Click on Voting and select Early Voting in the drop-down menu to see a complete list of early voting sites. You may need to wait in line to vote. The third way to vote is at your polling place on the day of the general election, which is November 3rd. Your polling place is listed on your voter registration card. You can also find it by going to the Maryland State Board of Elections homepage and clicking on Find Your Polling Place. I strongly encourage you to check your polling place before going to vote on election day, as last-minute changes to polling places may occur due to the pandemic. The League of Women Voters is committed to ensuring all eligible voters are registered and have the information they need to vote. You can visit our website, vote411.org, to find all the information you need to register to vote, check your registration status, find out what's on your ballot, important dates for the election, such as deadlines for registering to vote and applying for a mail-in ballot, and dates for early voting, as well as candidate forums and upcoming debates. This Get Out the Vote postcard project will focus on voters ages 18 to 29. Data from the Census Bureau's current population survey indicate that voters ages 18 to 29, shown here in blue, are the least likely to vote, while voters 60 and over, shown in purple, are the most likely to vote, and that this pattern has been consistent since the early 1980s. The peaks in this slides are years with presidential races. The Pew Research Center analyzed Census Bureau data from the 2018 midterm election that suggests young voters could have a major impact on future elections. The graph shows that those ages 18 to 53, labeled as Gen Z, Millennials, and Gen Xers, cast more votes than the baby boomers and older generations, and the same pattern occurred in the 2016 presidential election. There are many ways to encourage people to vote. In-person methods such as door-to-door canvassing and talking to your friends and neighbors are the most effective, followed by phone banking. Direct mail and door hangers are less effective than in-person methods, but are more effective when they are personalized, such as handwritten postcards and letters. For this project, you will handwrite 20 postcards to registered voters ages 20 to 29 in 5 Montgomery County precincts with historically low voter turnout. The postcard is shown here and advertises voter information available from the vote411.org website, such as information on candidates, polling locations, absentee ballots, early voting, voter registration, and election dates. The 5 precincts we will target are drawn from the data from the Montgomery County Board of Elections that tracks registered voters and whether they voted in past elections. We will send you a list of 20 registered voters from the Montgomery County Board of Elections voter registration file. This is public information. The list will include the voter's name, address, and birth year. The postcards will be pre-stamped in the upper right-hand corner. You will write the address on the right-hand side of the postcard where the stamp is, and a message to the voter on the left-hand side. The postcards are 4 by 6 inches, so there is not a lot of space for a message. The basic format for the message side of the postcard is the greeting, message, and closing. The greeting includes "Dear" and the first name of the voter. We will give some examples of messages on the next slide. The closing includes "Sincerely" and your first name only. Next to that, please indicate that you are a Montgomery College student. All messages and addresses should be handwritten in pen, not typed as shown here. Here are some examples of messages. I'll give you a minute to read through these. We want to inspire voters in the 18 to 29 age group to actually go out and vote. Choose a message or messages that resonate with you. You can also combine one of the previous messages with information about the election deadlines as shown here. The Montgomery College project coordinators will give you a detailed timeline for this project. In general, after you view this webinar, you will obtain the directions for completing the postcards, the voter list with the names and addresses of postcards recipients, and 20 postcards. Using your best handwriting, you will write messages encouraging voters to actually vote in the upcoming election on each of the postcards, along with the recipient's address. The message goes on the left side and the address on the right side of the postcard. Please mail the postcards and the voter list in the envelope provided to the League office in Rockville as soon as you finish them. The final deadline to mail them is October 10th, but we would prefer if you mailed them sooner. We hope that you and other Montgomery College students can work together to send approximately 1,750 personalized postcards by October 10th to encourage young voters to actually vote in the upcoming election. Before closing, we would like to let you know that the League really values the perspective and energy young voters bring, and we encourage you to join the League. Membership is free for students. LWV and membership mocomd.org under the Get Involved tab. We are very excited to be collaborating with Montgomery College on this project. Thank you for participating to make this a safe and successful Get Out the Vote campaign.